Guys, today we're doing a little bit of a different review. I know usually I show some use on the tool before I get into the review, but if you guys want to see the use of this axe in splitting, fine tasks, bucking trees, just check the description below. I'm going to leave part 1 and 2 of my GBA versus Wetterlings, and in that I show both of them against each other, but in that video you can see how this works and how it does. And so instead of cutting up more trees and more wood to show you guys how it works, just check out those 2 videos. But without any further ado, let's get into this. As I mentioned, this is going to be more comprehensive what my thoughts are and have been over the past 3 years of using this tool, or this Wetterlings Swedish forest axe, now renamed the Scandi forest axe, and just kind of tell you guys what my thoughts are about it. To start off with everything I like about this axe, which is a lot. Now they're actually very hard to find, but when you can find them, they're generally more affordable than a GBA. But ironically, when I got this axe, the last 2 times I tried to do reviews, I just could never really do a proper review of this axe, and that kind of sucked because there's really not as much information about the Wetterlings as there is on the GBA. So hopefully this will clear some things up. I want to talk about some of the mods that I have done / that are on the axe right now, and kind of just overall tell you my thoughts on this axe. As well, I'm not going to try and compare this axe too much to the GBA, really just say what I think about this overall. For the past 3 years, hopefully you guys can see this has been put a lot of use on this axe, and it has been quite the trooper. I really do enjoy using this axe, and I've been running the GBA so often that it's actually kind of like air getting my hands back on this axe and using this axe now a little bit more. So things that I've really enjoyed about this axe are one, a positive and negative, and that is its weight. This axe is a little bit on the heavy side for a pack axe, but that weight really helps it to bite into wood. Not only that, but this convex grind that it has just makes this thing such a trooper when it comes to wood and biting into it. This thing just lops off large pieces of wood. It is really a great axe for felling trees, and that's something that I really enjoyed overall using this axe. The other thing I do like about this axe for its felling abilities is that it is a little bit on the longer side. Generally boys' axes around 25 inches in length, and this axe is actually around 26.5 inches, and so it has been really nice to actually swing a little bit of a longer axe. I've had to get used to that part. That is actually one thing when I transition between my GBA and my Wetterlings. I have to actually, especially when splitting, have to reaccustom myself to this axe, because if I don't, I will actually overstrike with this axe, and that's not good. So overall, like I was saying, the handle length and axe head weight have been really nice, and this wedge up here is quite good for splitting. Honestly, this is one of my favorite more expensive axes more higher end axes to run, because of its splitting capabilities and its overall felling capabilities. It's not as good at smaller tasks such as feather sticking, but it is very good at the larger tasks, and I have really enjoyed using it for that. So now onto some of the things I have done. Of course, if you guys have been around the channel for any time or done any digging around, you guys have known that I put collars on both of the axes, and I have them both off right now, primarily for the reason that I run the axes in my Carhartt hammer loop. It's actually a very convenient way to carry the axes, and I'm sure you guys have seen that on film. And with those collars on them, you actually can't put them in your hammer. Most of the time, especially when I'm running them that way, I do leave the collars off. But other than that, I have a retrieval lanyard on this, and I mentioned in the one video comparing expensive axes versus inexpensive axes to have retrieval lanyards, and I still strongly believe that you should have retrieval lanyards on any of the axes you care about. And this is definitely one I do. Pretty nice retrieval lanyard on that. So those are really the mods that I've made to it. I haven't really needed to do much to this axe because, in my opinion, the Wetterlings really come so squared away that I don't really think you need to do much to them. And probably most importantly, just to show how this has held up over the years, that is one of the most important things when we buy tools. Generally, we want them to outlast us actually. So you guys can see here, this is still the original handle. I don't know if you guys can see the Wetterlings, it's right here. It was imposed into the wood, and the black kind of ink or char, whatever it was that made that all emboldened, has actually kind of, for the most part, rubbed out. That's because it's been carried so much. But overall, this axe handle is still very strong. As I mentioned, I have overstruck a couple times. Once actually really good, like with a full-on swing. And that time, I haven't noticed it since, but that time it actually hit so hard that it shook the head out of place, and you could kind of, if you really put a lot of weight into it, you could just shift the axe head or axe bit just a little bit. But due to how solidly this is put in here, I have not had any issues since then with that. And of course, like I said, the axe handle is still this way. It always amazes me when I hear about some people who loan like their Wetterlings to friends, and somehow their friend ends up like breaking the handle. It makes no sense, because so long as you treat this handle pretty well, it actually is a very strong handle. But other than that, the one complaint I do have with this convex grind is the fact that it is a very, very thin edge, and that's really awesome in a knife, but it's not so awesome in an axe. And you'll see some people, if you look at some other reviews other people have made, you'll note that a lot of people do talk about microchips and just different chips overall in their edge, and mine actually has a handful of chips. One time I accidentally did bury the head in some partially rocky soil, and it actually did get a small chip in the edge. Unfortunately, I was so sad when that happened, but that chip has pretty well worn itself out. It's a lot harder to see nowadays because I've sharpened it, of course. But other than that, overall, when you sharpen the axe, you do expect to get some slight microchips in the edge or micro bends in the edge, because it's just such a thin edge, and when you swing this axe, you know you're putting so much force behind that edge that generally you will end up either rolling or chipping just small bits of it, and that kind of sucks. Due to the convex grind, there's just not a whole lot you can really do about that. I will say that's one thing I've really liked with using different axes, such as the GBA. The GBA, of course, is a Scandi grind that is a little bit more convex, but because it doesn't have such a tapered edge, there's actually a bit more meat behind the edge, and I have not actually had any problems with that axe and chips. Overall, that is how the axe has held up over the years. I still really, like I said, love this axe. I think it looks great. Definitely, I don't know which one I really like more, the GBA or the Wetterlings. It would have to be, it's probably a really close tie. I really do love the way both of them look. Anyways, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed my quick impressions of this awesome axe, and don't forget to try and check them out. They really are quite valuable nowadays. Wetterlings has really shrunk their production quite a bit, so they're definitely getting harder to find nowadays, but if you can find one, I would highly encourage picking one up, even if you have something like a GBA, where I feel the GBA in many aspects slightly outdoes this axe. There's still quite a few aspects that this outdoes the GBA in. I would highly encourage picking one up if you can find them. Anyways, guys, don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, and tell me what your thoughts are on the Swedish or Scandinavian force axe by Wetterlings. And I'm out.